I suppose, do you think we could be sat here in 20 years' time looking back at what we're using today? Do you think that they can go further? Because I'm sure back then they probably didn't really think that you could get more accurate and more power. It was just a slingshot's a slingshot. Obviously, with modern day technology and everyone involved in the community trying different things, and that's where I've seen the growth personally, is the development in equipment. But do you think there's a next step? Do you think there's we're going to be able to go further, or do you think we've hit a plateau and generally what we've got right now is going to be the best we've got?
Oh, no. I think definitely. I mean, just for an example, I know this frame actually gets a lot of hate. This is actually a huge step forward in a lot of slingshots. This is that Axiom X from Simple Shot.
Mhm.
Having a frame that you can actually fine tune to your size, go all the way from 100 millimeters down to a smaller size on a frame, and actually change how the frame feels in your hand by moving other parts of it. That's kind of like a small step forward for us today, but in the future, I can really definitely see them somehow finding a better elastic. I think that's where most of the technology is going to come from, is actually the elastic on getting maybe more speed with less draw weight, that kind of thing for accuracy and whatnot. I think it's probably where we're going to find all of our advancement in the sport, was actually
Mhm.
having lighter rubber with faster retraction, with less weight, and on the pouch too, on the pouch side as well, having lighter materials. That's where I think the sport's going to go forward. I mean, as we're looking at them now, all these forks seem to be traditional in maybe they're going to come out with some that you can actually go to a custom guy and you're going to squeeze it in your hand and it's actually going to fit you like a glove. Maybe that's something that's out there. I don't know if anybody's ever done that
Do it.
before or not, but
Do it. ATO,
yeah.
ATO slingshots, right?
How cool would that be, eh? Show up
I'd
at your
sign up.
custom maker, you just squeeze some kind of template, and all of a sudden he creates something for you that's going to fit you perfectly.
And that sounds good. That sounds good. And as we're on the topic of rubbers, um, where would you retire a band? Because I know a lot of people will kind of wait until they see a tear, or they wait until. But from my experience, I have actually lost accuracy just purely because I've been using a band for so long. Do you have a certain time frame where you change your bands over, or?
Well, that comes up to the shooters as well, right? Because like a lot of times I set up my bands so I'm pretty close to them. I have them pretty close to maxed out. When I do my band reviews, I try to stretch them out. So when I draw them, they stop at my anchor. So I'm getting the most stretch out of it. Now, I have done some messing around with it to see what would be the difference if I had like a half inch longer, and that actually that little half inch that's there, or that 2 centimeter spot, makes a difference in speed. There's a lot of juice in that little bit. I tend to set up my bands when I'm shooting personally, not when I'm testing, so I can pull it from here. I can go back about an inch. So that little extra bit kind of fatigues my bands a little bit quicker than normal. I typically get around 300 shots out of a band set, but my performance stays the same from beginning to end. And because I taper my bands, I always get a tear by the pouch.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So personally, I believe that I'm actually shooting a safer band set. I'm getting 300 shots. Well, say 300 shots plus. So I'm probably getting around in between 300 and 400 shots out of a band set. It's not that much. I know a lot of people want longevity and they think they can get maximum speed out of longevity. That doesn't exist. It's kind of like a seesaw. The more weight you put on speed, the less your bands are going to last, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, as soon as I start seeing any nicks, chips, scuffs, or scratches in my bands, especially if they're anywhere near the fork end, they come off.
Done. Uh-huh.
Yeah. If they're at the pouch end, well, sometimes I shoot until they pop.
Just for fun.
Yeah, just for fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got some fan questions here for you. So a few
Oh,
people
cool.
have kind of written in, and we've got some questions. So this one's by Elliot McGowan. So Elliot says, "Have you ever had any injuries from shooting slingshots?
Never.
Not even a
However,
thumb hit?
eh?
A thumb hit? No.
No, I've never had a thumb hit, but I did hit actually the webbing of my hand when I was shooting that thing. But I was shooting clays, so it was kind of like an oh shit moment. But that was about it. No damage, no damage. But I did have a couple close calls. I was shooting Gongchi Green, and I was trying to see what kind of speeds I can get out of them, and I was shooting long shots like 20 meters, and I did have a very close call. I was getting really weird random breaks with these bands, and I checked my bands. Everything looked good. I went out and I pulled, and it snapped right at the fork. It came back and hit me right in the brim of the cap. If I wasn't wearing a cap, I would have caught that in the eyeball, and I could have been in all kinds of trouble.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So
That was my closest thing to an injury.
and still no safety glasses.
No. Oh, actually, no safety glasses. Actually, and the reason why I stopped shooting these guys, these little metal flippers, was because I actually shot one. The steel bounced off the flipper, came right back and hit me in the lip.
Whoa. That could
At
have been
10
bad.
meters.
Again, that could have been bad.
That could have been bad. So I stopped shooting. I don't shoot metal flippers at all anymore. That's it.
Okay, so
they make cool keychains, though. I'll tell you that much.
It does look cool. It does. It's a reminder.
Yeah. As a reminder.
The next question we got is by Ross. So Ross says, "What is your favorite band size and taper?"
My favorite band size and taper to shoot. I like 0.5. 0.5. I do a lot of 0.5 stuff. I do some
8 mils, right? 8 mil ammo.
Yeah, I'm an 8 mil ammo guy. So I like to shoot 0.5. There's a lot of them that I do like. Actually, 0.55 too. I guess we'll say in the 0.45 to 0.55, but usually the 0.5 is my go-to, and I like 22 to 12.
Okay, cool.
It gives me probably a very reasonable speed with a very comfortable draw weight, which is why I chose that.
Okay, good answer. There we go, Ross. There's your question asked and your answer given. So the next one's by the Inaccurate Shooter. How can we, slingshot shooters, gain popularity globally and reach more people? I guess we've already touched on that. Would there be any more you'd like to add to that? But just so we know, the Inaccurate Shooter also says, because I'm not sure whether you've seen it, but on the Instagram page, I posted up a question mark with the maple leaf at the bottom as a little clue to who the guest was going to be today. And he actually messaged me and he said, that's ATO. That's the ATO. I love that guy. And I quote, "I wish he was my dad."
Oh my God. I'm just a dude who shoots stuff in his backyard, man. I'll take the fishing, though. I promise you that, bro. How about that?
Yeah, I think we've touched on it a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know how we do it. I suppose as social media and YouTube it's still growing. I mean, you wouldn't think it, but it is still growing.
Yep.
We will reach more people. But what I would personally say is just have fun. Of course, I'd love to have people close by that I can go and shoot with. But just enjoy it. And, if you can get other people involved, then go ahead and do it. Introduce people that you may not think would be interested. Have a word with them, get them out with you, get them shooting, and go from there. That would be my advice. But what about yourself?
If we're talking about actually growing the sport, I think there's two things that really need to happen. One of them really's got to be, like I said before, teach people about the sport, teach a kid to shoot. Most importantly, everybody who's got a slingshot out there has got to shoot responsibly. I know a lot of people like to carry these frames around, but it doesn't take much when you're walking down the street and you see a rat and you want to pop it and you miss your shot, it ricochets, hits somebody's window. The next thing you know, you're in the newspaper. They're complaining to the city, and they start passing laws. This is the most thing that's got to be. If you're going to be carrying a slingshot, if you're going to be shooting a slingshot, just don't be stupid about it. Shoot responsibly, have a great time, teach everyone what to do, but don't bring any stigma to the sport because that's going to put a halt to it real quick.
100%. And there was a case, there was an article that I read quite recently, actually, here in the UK, where someone put a nursery window through with a slingshot. Now, there's no saying whether this was done on purpose or whether it was an accident, but I can take my slingshot, I can walk out of my front door, I can go into the woods and shoot it, and for me, that's amazing. I live near woods, I can just go out and shoot, and I think if it does gain publicity in that sense, then it's going to strip us right back. I mean, we're going to take many steps back. For the most part, I'd like to think most people are quite responsible with their shooting, but that is actually a very good point you make there.
The reason why I bring that up is sometimes, like I had an issue with one of my neighbors. I was in my backyard. I know I had that little blue catch box kind of hanging on my fence. I did a video on building it, and I was shooting at that. And in behind that thing, I had these long, tall pieces of, they call them phragmites here. It's like a long, tall grass with a big poofy thing at the top. And I was in my yard, and I figured I'd challenge myself a little bit because the wind was kind of blowing them like this. And I was kind of trying to time my shot so I could shoot it and hit the stalk of it and cut it down. And I was because actually just shooting at these things, and she thought I was shooting at birds.
Right.
And she made a comment, "Are you shooting at birds over there?" And I'm like, no. Listen, I have no problem with hunting, all that stuff. I'm totally into it, but I'm not killing anything I'm not eating. So I'm not going to be shooting at no little sparrow or a mouse or anything like that. I'm not interested in that. I'm just cutting the grass down. And she's like, "What do you mean?" And it took me 3 shots, but I showed her, paf. Thing came down, and she's like, "Oh, okay." And then I thought to myself, anybody else is watching me here could think I'm just shooting at critters or anything, or at the train going by, or who knows. So I decided that whenever we have a train coming by or anybody's walking along the tracks or whatever it is, everything gets put away until they're cleared out of the area. And I mean completely gone, because it just takes one Karen on the train to say, "Hey, that guy was shooting at the train." I never shot at the train in my life, but I'm trying to protect what I got, you know?
That's a very, very good point you make there. The next question is by Brandon Foster. What makes a good beginner slingshot? I mean, we're covering all these. We've covered all these already, but no, I think, as you said, find one that kind of meets all the needs to begin with, and then maybe look into, from what you've learned from that one particular slingshot, go on and then advance and find something that's suited to your needs.
Yeah, agreed. I think the best thing would be is if you actually know another shooter, instead of doing like what I did, was like buy 3 or 4 different slingshots, and then all of a sudden you accidentally find one that really fits you. Is if you know somebody who shoots, get out there, take a couple of shots, see how it feels, and eventually there's going to be one where you all of a sudden start hitting the target. And I would lean towards something more along those lines. I think that's probably the best bet if it's possible.
We have some pages on social media here in the UK where it's like a swap and trade, which I'm not sure where Brandon Foster's from, but if you're from the UK, I would suggest you look at those, because if you've bought a number of slingshots and perhaps you don't like them for whatever reason, there will be someone out there that can swap with you, and you just post yours away, they'll post theirs, and you can swap. And I think that's a fantastic way of doing it, because unfortunately, there's not a slingshot store about where you can go and just have a few shots with a few different slingshots. So, it will become quite expensive if you just buy in slingshot after slingshot and band set after band set. So, either, as you said, meet someone, have a shot of theirs, or do as I said, have a look online and see if there's anyone out there that wants to swap.
Absolutely. And I think you guys have quite a few of clubs out there too, right? For sling shooting?
We do. Certain areas have certain clubs. They have a lot of meets. But in terms of social media, there are so many pages in the UK which can offer not only advice, but slingshots and trades, but we're not as big as Canada. So even if someone's sort of 2.5 hours away, if you wanted to make a day of it, you can get up early, meet halfway perhaps, and have a shoot. So yeah, you've got that option, and actually that's on one of the. I think it's the next question is when I'm actually touch on that is by Wayne Hillier, who says, "What's the effect of bandwidth on power and drop?" So he's using 9.5 steels. So what is the effect of bandwidth on power and drop? So we'll go ahead and answer that in a second. But he also says, what are the events in the UK in 2023 and how can he attend? So on that one, I wouldn't say there's one big event that you can go to, but just type into social media Slingshot, Catapult, Catty, and then where you live, you'll find somewhere. I recently moved to Scotland and I didn't know where to start. And I've recently found out there's one in Edinburgh, which is about an hour away. They meet on a Sunday. It is as simple as that. So don't think there's one big hurrah. There are big meets here in the UK, but you may be a distance away. But definitely if you're new and you want to meet, just search your area. There'll be someone about. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and just answer the question on what's the effect of bandwidth on power and drop.
That's kind of an interesting one, and I know that I disagree with some other guys that are out there over this. I know a lot of people out there like to shoot 25-20 for a taper, for example. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get a lot of power out of that, but because you're shooting almost a straight band, you're not actually getting the potential speed you can out of your ammo by using a tapered band. You'll see often I shoot a 25-20, a 25-15 taper from my 9.5 steel. The reason why I came up with that taper is I did a video quite a while back and I tested bands with 8mm and 9mm steel, and 9.5mm steel, shooting through a chronograph, calculating speeds with a taper of 24-12, 25-15, 25-18, and 25-20. And you can actually see the results that for the 8mm steel and the 9.5mm steel, you can actually see I got different results on speed. And this is how I came up with my 24-12 to shoot 8mm steel when I'm testing. I know that's not the taper that I use on a regular basis, but I stuck with it. So if you're following all of my band tests, you'll be able to see what the differences are because they're all maxed out bands and they're all at the same taper. So it kind of gives you an idea of how speed, what the speed is related to each other. Mm-hmm. When I did my test with the 25-15 with the 9.5mm steel, I actually got more speed than I did out of the 25-20. But the big issue is if you're in the cold, for example, like I shoot often in the cold, mm-hmm. I need to put in that extra band, that extra weight, like go up to say like a 25-20 because I need to move that ammo.
It's going to drop, right?
Exactly. You need more rubber to get that ball going. But in the summertime, I don't need that 25-20. I need 25-15, and I'm actually getting faster results out of it. So really, again, it comes down to what you're comfortable with. The reason why I chose 25-15 is because I'm actually getting more speed with less draw weight and than I was with the 25-20 because it actually kind of gets in its own way a little bit, I find. There's other people that swear by it. I'm not saying they're doing it wrong. If it works for them, that's good. But for me, this is where I lean to. I hope that question got answered there. It's kind of a tough one to.
I'd be happy with that answer. So that's it. We've come to the end. I just want to say a massive thank you for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully everyone listening or watching has enjoyed the show. If you haven't checked out Mark's videos on ATO, you need to do so. I will put links in the description below. Anything you want to say on that, Mark?
First of all, I'm kind of blown away that you invited me to do this. This is so cool. This is like really it's an amazing thing. Like I'm going to remember this for a long time, and I want to thank you personally for this. I wish I could shake your hand, man. No joke. Yeah, like this
Thank
was
you.
really cool. A lot of fun.
Well, hopefully with that we can we can move on. I'm going to get a variety of guests in different areas of Slingshot, but I'd love to have you back on again one day.
Anytime, just let me know. I'm here.
Perfect. Thank you
This
very
was an
much.
amazing experience. I'm telling you.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank you,
great
man.
day.
Yeah, you too. Take it easy.